أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اتبع بسنة يوم الدين أما بعد Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Thanks to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Alhamdulillah. Salawat and salam our Prophet Rasulullah Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Dear brothers and sisters, may Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala give us easy and also healthiness for our activities. So today we are going to have the sessions 2 that we are going to discuss on the methodology of Islamic economics. So what are some objectives that we can get from our learning here? After learning these sessions, the students are able to first elaborate the methodology of West and Islamic perspective. Secondly, elaborate the methodology discussed by Muslim scholars on Islamic economics. And lastly, elaborate the difference among them. So this is the outline that we are having today. The first introductions, methodology. So we have ontology, epistemology, axiology, Western methodology of truth, Islamic perspective on methodology, and lastly, methodology of Islamic economics. So let us see here. In order to reveal the truth, people need some instruments to prove it. Because people, when they want to seek the truth, they have to have some tools in order to make it real and going to be proven. So being skeptic is one of the way to examine the truth. So people in the West or some way in order to make the truth or to get the truth, to examine the truth, so they become a skeptic. By mean that questioning the things that all the statements are exactly not in the correct way, but they want to know and they want to prove it as the come with the methodology. So problems and our issues appear. So afterward, we have the process to reveal it, that we need a methodology to come into the place, and lastly going to be the result on the truth. So by mean the result on the truth, they can get and they can accept the truth itself. So what is exactly methodology? Methodology is a system of method used in a particular area of study or activity. So it is like the system of method, the step-by-step, the organized, the systematic way in order to know and reveal the truth on the study or the activity. So it is also defined as a body of knowledge, body of method, rules, and postulates employed by a discipline, a particular procedures or set of procedures. So what have we mentioned just now? There are some several procedures, some steps in order to come into the conclusions, come into the result itself. So the analysis of principles or procedures in a court of inquiry in a particular field. It is according to Merriam-Webster dictionary. So what is the methodology? It is the analysis of principle or procedures of inquiry in the particular field. So this is like what is exactly in the basic principle, the core principles in order to come into a particular field. So methodology is the subject critically investigate the concept, theories, and the basic principles of reasoning pertaining to that subject. So this is the subject that going to be critically investigate. So subject critically investigate the concept. So the methodology by mean talk about the concepts, the theories, the basic principles, and many others in order to have of reasoning pertaining to that subject. So in conclusions, in the way that we want to see the methodology, so it is a mean to seek the truth. So very simple definitions of methodology, it is like a mean, the tools, the media, in order to seek the truth. It's called by the methodology. So what is exactly ontology, epistemology, and axiology? Because it is part of the philosophy. So we would like to little bit discuss on this thing. So let's see here. It is root of the tree. So what's meant by the root of tree here in the way of science or knowledge? So ontology, the part of philosophy that studies what it means to exist. So it is talking about the basic thing, why this thing exists. So it discusses what is the essence, being, idealism or spiritualism, materialism. So On the ontology aspect in the philosophy, so it talks about the existence, why this kind thing exists here. So what is exactly the principle, what is exactly the idealism, spiritualism, or materialism itself. So discuss the essence, a very fundamental thing, why exactly it appears. Secondly, come into the epistemology. That's called by the what do you say? It's not on the branch, but it's going to be the tree itself. It is about the study on how we know things. What are the means and method for attaining knowledge, and what are the measures for the so-called scientific truth or reality. So in the epistemology, going to be like discussing about the method itself in order to attain the knowledge, and what are the measurements, what are the measures in order to get the reality on the truth. That's called by the epistemology. So next, by mean epistemology, talk about the theory itself. So we can define the things discussed are very fundamental on the theory. It already appear in that matters. Lastly, we have axiology, the study of the natures, types, and criteria of values, and the value of the value judgment, especially in ethics. So it discusses value as an imperative in the practical applications of knowledge. So when we talk about the axiology, I mean that this is the action, the value, the ethic come into the field of knowledge itself. So ontology is the basic things why it appears. So epistemology come into the theory itself, and lastly going to be the axiology. So it's going to be the actions. So we want to measure the value itself, going to be especially into the ethics. So come into Western methodology of truth. There are some methodology come from the Western called by the rationalism, empiricism, a priorism. So what is exactly by rationalism? So people today in the West, like we know today, they all always rely on the rational. What is exactly according to their reason, it is true or it is not true. So what does mean rationalism? Reliance on reason as the basic for establishment of religious truth. A theory that reason is in itself a source of knowledge, superior to and independent of sense perceptions. A belief or theory that opinions and actions should be based on reason and knowledge rather than a religious belief or emotional responses. So, according to rationalism, when we see here, by means that all knowledge can be referred to the basic and the thing, the very core thing is going to be into the reason. So they want to use their reason, they want to use their analogy come into place. So they don't want to come into the religious belief and also emotional responses in order to reveal the truth itself. So next into empiricism. So when we talk about the empiricism, a theory that all knowledge originates in the experience. According to empiricism, we can get and we can gain, we can attain into the knowledge as it's originates in the experience. So you can get all the knowledge based on the experience. It is stimulated by the rise of experimental science. It's developed in the 17th and 18th centuries, expounded in the particular by John Locke and George Berkeley and David Hume. So it is called by the empiricism. So anything come with the experience, empiricism. So the third we have a priorism. What is it? Belief in the priori principles of reasoning. The doctrine that knowledge rests upon principles that are self-evident to reason or are presupposed by experience in the genre. So it's called by the a priorism. So next, let's come here. There are some also methodology of truth according to the West. There are some opposite of normativism and positivism. So when we talk about the normativism, by mean they always stick into norma. They stick always into the value of the religion, normativism. So we have positivism. Positivism by means they come into the truth based on the reality. So they can be what do you say describe on what is exactly into the reality itself. So deductive, we have deductive and inductive method in the methodology, how it come from the general into specific, that come into specific thing that can be conclude from the general is called by the inductive. So we have value loaded and free value. So in the methodology, there are some discussions on the opposite of it is going to be the value loaded or it's going to be the value free. But again, some they believe all the science, all the knowledge is value free. But they also are going into value loaded because knowledge is the way of tools itself. But how the people they exactly use it. So last we have the perceptions or descriptions. Perceptions like like the doctor give you perceptions in order into healing of your sickness, for the example. So it's going to be like step by step perceptions, or it's going to be descriptions in the whole thing exactly. This is some opposite of methodology in truth in the West. So let's come into the methodology of conventional economics, or we call it by the traditional economics. So a discipline of science must have an accepted methodology. Yes, exactly. Conventional economics is based on scientific method. What is that? It is rationalism and empiricism. So they rely on the rational and also they come into the experience based on the data. It's going to be the empiricism. The truth obtained by the scientific method is a knowledge. So according to the conventional economics, the science method going to be the truth obtained from the scientific method. It is knowledge or science. So there are some debate among them on the methodology touch the issues like normativism, positivism, deductive, inductive, value loaded, value free, perceptions, descriptions, a priorism, empiricism, subjective or objective, and so on. So many others. So what is exactly the stake on this kind of methodology? So come into the place, methodology of conventional economics, according to Han, 1994, stated that the discipline of methodological debate, there is a broad agreement. So according to them, even there are some debates among the scholars on the methodology. So there are also some agreement, a broad agreement. Into 3 points that concerning human beings. What are they? The first is the basic assumptions on the man. What is that? It is selfish. According to Han, so the broad agreement among the scholars in that point, the basic assumptions is man exactly selfish by the natures. So selfish is like a part of your characteristic by the natures, and he behaves rationally. So they think agreement here, they behaves as it is rational. So next second, what is that? Material progress is the supreme goal. So according this what is conventional economic view, the material progress is the supreme goal. So the material is the supreme goal, the core of goal itself. The third, every person has an inherent tendency to maximize his material welfare. So according to them, the tendency come into maximize his material welfare. And he also has a knowledge and ability to decide what is good for him or not for him. So let's come into the Islamic point of view on those three things here. So Islamic view different on those 3 points just now. So first, it is questionable that human beings are selfish by nature. So in Islam, it is like something still it is questionable that human being is selfish by nature. So there is overwhelming evidence that in all civilized societies, people have been actuated by altruism motives. So when we have the evidence here, people with civilization, with the high civilizations, oh, it is civilized societies, so they behave and they actuated by altruism motives. So altruism is much as fact, much fact of life as it is selfishness. So Islam encourages people to adopt altruism and to make sacrifice for others. So altruism by means that people they feel not only happiness come from you yourself, you maximize and you become a selfish, but you can share your happiness, your joyness to others, and then people they can have their situations and conditions into happier and it's better conditions. Secondly, let's see, material progress is not a supreme objective. Sorry, this is not this is not note, but it is not a supreme objective in Islamic society. It is a desirable goal, but it is serving to the falah in the hereafter. So yes, exactly. We know the object. No, no, it is not objective, but the material progress is yes one of the what is objective, but it is not the supreme. Why? Because we want to have the falah in the here and hereafter. So should be a conflict. It enjoins upon its followers a balanced attitude. So in Islam, we need to have a balanced attitude. Whether that we are going to have the focus into akhirah or going to be hereafter, but we still want to do our activities in this life. It's going to be into maslahah, into big impact of advantage, big impact of benefit for people. Third, Islam consider man incapable of knowing independently what is the best for him. Yes. So it just not only rely on the reason, but human beings, according to Islam, needs also guidance from whom only God has perfect knowledge. So the guidance itself come from God. That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Human knowledge is imperfect, and everyone needs guidance for making various decisions in life. God, in His infinite mercy, guided human beings through the prophets and His book. So, yes, we cannot see whether it is going to be true or going to be not true or incorrect without any guidance from others. So, we need the guidance from others, which is exactly the absolute one. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's see here, Islamic perspective on methodology. How exactly Islam viewed on the methodology? The first man is ordered to follow the truth, not his perceptions. It is going to be done, and also his desires. We mentions many Quran here, Surah Furqan 43, 44, Surah Al-Jasiyah 18, 23, Al-Ma'idah 14, 49, 77, Al-An'am 150, Al-Qasas 50, and Ar-Rum 29. This is a several ayah that mentions about man is ordered to follow the truth, not his perceptions, not his done. So let's see another one by one the ayah. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أم تحسب أن أكثرهم يسمعون أو يعقلون إنهم إلا كالأنعام بل هم أضل. Or do you think most of them hear or reason? They are not except like livestock. Rather they are even more astray in their way. Another ayah, Alam tara ila rabbika kayfa madda dhilla walau sha'a laj'alahu sakina thumma ja'alna ash-shamsa alayhi dalila. Have you not considered your Lord, how he extend the shadow? And if he willed, he could have made it stationary, then we met the sun for it in indications. So another ayah, ثم جعلناك على شريعة من الأمر فاتبعها ولا تتبع أهواء الذين لا يعلمون. And then we put you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, على شريعة, on the ordained way concern the matter, on Sharia, fil amri, on the matters of the religion, fattabi'ha, so follow it, follow the path, and also wala tatabu, and do not follow the inclinations of those who do not know, alladhina la ya'lamun. Another ayah, فرأيت من اتخذ إلى فرأيت من اتخذ إلهه هواه وأضله الله على علم وختم على سمعه وقلبه وجعل على بصره غشاوة فمن يهديه من بعد الله أفلا تذكرون. Have you seen who have you seen he who has taken as his God his own desire, and Allah has sent him astray due to knowledge, and has set a seal upon him hearing and his heart, and put over his visions are a veil. So who will guide him after Allah? And then will you not be reminded? So coming to the second. So to reach the truth, human must have an evidence, burhan. We name in Islam is burhan. When you want to reach the truth, so you need a burhan, you need the evidence. It's also mentioned Surah Al-Baqarah 111, Al-Anbiya 24, and many other ayah. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقالوا لا يدخل الجنة إلا من كان هودا أو نصارى تلك أمانيهم قل هاتوا برهانكم إن كنتم صادقين. And they say none will enter paradise except one who is a Jew or Christian. That is merely their wishful thinking. Amani is wishful thinking. Say kul. What is it? Hatu burhanakum. Posture your proof, your evidence, if you should be a truthful. In kuntum sadiqin. So another ayah, amittakhadu min dunihi aliha. Qul hatu burhanakum hadha dhikru man ma'iya wa dhikru man qabli. Bal aktharuhum la ya'lamun al-haqqu fahum mu'ridun. Or have they taken good gods beside him? Say, O Muhammad, pursue your proof. This Quran is the message for those with me and the message of those before me. But most of them do not know the truth, so they are turning away. The third, classic Muslim scholars have founded and developed scientific methodology in the various branches of knowledge and science. So we can also come into the Muslim scholars, the classic Muslim scholars, because they already developed some scientific methodology. Then we can join and follow their path and going to develop into contemporary issues and contemporary problem matters that they appear. So Islamic economy is normative and positive. So that's point into at the beginning we are normative and also positive. So we have to stick into Al-Quran and Sunnah, and afterward we are going to reason after that into the matters and issues. So Islamic economy is not a free value free, but it is value loaded. Why? Because in Islam and the ethics come also into practice of economy. Homo Islamicus, not Homo economicus. So we become the Homo Islamicus, not Homo economicus. We decided focus into Fala. We do not decide into the selfish or self-oriented. That's going to be Homo economicus. So let's see here some economists on methodology. There are Muhammad Anasarqa, we have Masadul Alam Choudhury, we have Muhammad Fahim Khan, we have Irfanul Haq, we have Munzir Kaf, and we have Muhammad Akram Khan here. Let's come one by one on the methodology itself. How do they discuss? According to Muhammad Anasarqa, 92, the beginning we want to have into methodology, presumptions and idea. So it is named as the basic idea and principles of Islamic economics. The idea comes from Al-Quran, Sunnah, Fiqh, and Maqasid al-Sharia. So starting according to Zarqa, so we start from Quran and the Sunnah, and also we develop with Fiqh and Maqasid al-Sharia. This idea must later be reduced to scientific approach in building the framework of Islamic economy itself. Then we want to come into the field of scientific approach to build the framework on Islamic economy itself. Secondly, natures of value judgment. It is a value approach in Islam to economic conditions that occur. This approach is related to concept of barakah in Islam. So he also emphasized on the barakah itself. So they are having like a value approach of some economy conditions that occur today. The third going to be positive part of economic science. So the sections explain economic reality, and how the Islamic concept can be derived in the real conditions itself. So next, come into Masadul Alam Choudhury, 98. So there are some steps that they can be guidance here. So primordial stock of knowledge, absolute, complete, and irreducible, meaning the unity of the divine laws as the unit of God, Tawhid. So the beginning, it starts from Tawhid. So Choudhury, he also introduced into Tawhidic paradigm. So he introduced us with the kind of paradigm going to be Tawhidic paradigm, starting from Tawhid. For flows creations of knowledge of the world system. What is that? The primal role of Prophet Muhammad Sallam's conduct of life. Sunnah, flows of knowledge, emulate the essence of divine unity, the principle of universe complementarity. So after we come from Tawheed, then we come into the flow creations of knowledge of the world system. How? From the conduct of Rasulullah Muhammad Sallam during his life. The third, combining one and two from Islamic laws by epistemological deductions in the human world and the role those in Islamic authority. Emergence of discourse are going to be in the ijtihad based on the developing of the flow of knowledge or knowledge, creating complementarity and unifications of complementing system. So afterward, the scholars in the area, so they develop itself and come into ijtihad, emergence of discourse, then we can have this kind of flow. Fourth, we have creations of reality by means in inductions of the cognitive system by knowledge flows, material manifestations of universally complementing system on the basis of their knowledge inductions. So number five, we have these portions of Islamic agent. It's going to be mujtahid, for the example, for to form rules of life out the knowledge flows, going to be ahkam. Next, still from Masadul Choudhury. So the consensus of convergence of the principles 1 until 4 on the specific issues after widely systemic discourse or ijma, the process from 1 until 4 forms to rise the rise of Islamic laws, Sharia rules on specific issues of life of the complementing diversities. So afterward, they can answer into not only individual ijtihad, but they come into the ijma, going to be in the systemic discussions, going to be ijma. So 7, evaluations of output on the process 1 until 7 on the specific measurements of social well-being. So afterward, we have to come into measurements. It's going to be like having impact on social well-being or not. So number 8, reorganizations of the suratik. Going to be suratik is musyawarah, suratik. Process in the continuity, going to be Quranic evolutionary epistemology. And lastly, going to be complementing the suratic process in akhirah, hereafter, as reconstructions of the primordial defined stock of knowledge shown in number 1. So suratic process and the individual methodology replaced by a consensus of expert. So by means that they do musyawarah and the market players in creating a balanced economy and market behaviors. Okay, this is the point of Masadul Choudhury. There are 9 points starting from Tawhid until the end come into suratic process in akhirah. So come into Fahimhan. According to Fahimhan, he start from Quran. The main source is Al-Quran. So afterward, into Sunnah. So Al-Quran and Sunnah, it is kind of from divine, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then also come from Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So afterward, we have Islamic law and jurisprudence. We have fiqh and also real fiqh. And afterward, we can also reflect from the history of Islamic civilizations, how the, what is saying, the caliphs, the time of Khulafa al-Rashidin, the time of Umayyah, or they say period, and come into Abbasid period, that we can also extract from the Islamic civilizations. Lastly, sharing data related to economic life. That a very simple thing from Muhammad Fahimhan. Lastly, going to be sharing data related to economic life. So come into Irfanul Haq. So it is required to understand Al-Quran and the Sunnah with questions. By mean with questions, not questioning Quran and Sunnah, but we have to develop into these matters. So come into Al-Quran and Sunnah with the extensions into today matters today or contemporary issues on economy. So it is necessary to create a creative and innovative methodology as long as it does not contravene the teaching of Al-Quran and Sunnah. So we may use any methodology today as long as it can be in line with the Sharia, in line with Quran and Sunnah, not contravene into teaching of Al-Quran and Sunnah. It's very simple also from Irfan al-Haq. Let's come into Munzir Kaf. So, according to him, starting from its requires criticisms on the conventional methodology in the interpreting Al-Quran and Sunnah, ilm al-usul, with respect. So, according to Munzir Haf, so we starting from the criticisms from the conventional methodology in interpreting Al-Quran and Sunnah, ilm al-usul, with the respect, of course. So a combinations of deductions and retrospections to support the formulations in Islamic economics. So he proposed into deductions and retrospections to support the formation of Islamic economy. Afterward, deductive method have been used by economists and fuqaha on Quran, Sunnah, and Islamic jurisprudence. So according to him, we can also use the deductive method because some of our ulama, some of our jurisprudence, some derived from Al-Quran and Sunnah and some jurisprudence, they use this kind of methodology, deductive method. So lastly, a retrospective method have been much used by contemporary Muslim economists to solve the economic problems faced by Muslim society or Muslim country. So second point going to be retrospective. So let's see here from the discussions of Muhammad Akram Khan. So starting in the point, Islamic economy is the multidisciplinary subject. It will not be meaningful or not in achieve its objective and it's rely on the traditional source of economy. So according to Akram Khan, so Islamic economy is a multidisciplinary subject. But another way, because the discussions come, Islamic economy is a normative discipline. So in the beginning, yes, we are in the normative. It does not study of economic problem merely for the sake of knowing of economic problem. But then we have to extend. It's not only normative, but how we want to develop. Come to the point. So let's see the comparisons between two methodologies that we have just now. So some economics users use a framework derived from the divine text. So come from Al-Quran and Sunnah. This framework is sacred and immutable. So human criticism does not apply to the divine text here. So because come from Quran and Sunnah, so no one can criticize into the point. Secondly, Islamic economics primarily follows the inductive method. According to him, follow the inductive method. It testify the truth or falsity of the assumptions as well as the predictions on the twin criteria of rationality and empirical evidence. So according to him, the Islamic economics primarily fall on the inductive method. It's going to be twin criteria on the rationality and also empirical evidence. Third, Islamic economics build ethical values such as justice, benevolence, moderation, sacrifice, caring for others, and so on into analysis as the behavioral parameters. So not only merely about the evidence it comes from the empirical, but also come into the values, ethical values, justice, benevolent, ihsan, wasatiyah, moderation, sacrifice, caring for others and others. So fourth, Islamic economics is a normative discipline. Yes, after that come into a normative discipline. It explores the ways and the means to change the existing economy into truly Islamic economics. Lastly, according to him, Islamic economics asks questions which are different from those asked by the mainstream economics. It is concerned with the fala or man and with creating the social and institutional conditions which maximize fala in the society. So let's come into the summary. So the Quran and Sunnah are the most important sources of truth, so that they are also the main source of economy. So the summary that we see here, the pictures of Shafi Antonio. So the main source come into our Quran and Sunnah. Secondly, the usul fiqh is the methodology of law setting based on the principle of logical deductions from a Quran and Sunnah. Remains binding for the methodology of Islamic economy, need critical and innovative thinking. So stick into the usul fiqh that our ulama, our scholars already developed itself. So the use of conventional scientific method or other methodologies may be justified insofar as this methodology is not incompatible with Islamic teachings. Yeah, we can use this kind of scientific method. Next, basically the methodology that comes from the scientific method has opportunity to produce the same conclusions when they derive from the science of usul al-fiqh. This is the summary that we can get for discussions. This is the reference that we have, and there are some review that we're going to discuss in the class. I think that's all that we can discuss today. Thank you very much. And أقول قولي هذا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك وأتوب إليك. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you easy understanding of this lesson and other lesson. أقول قولي هذا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.